The Paris Olympic Games are coming soon, so we know that Olympic athletes maintain a healthy diet rich in protein, carbs, and good fats. But did you know that in Asian Olympics, dessert that we now consider high in fats, calories, and sugar was served to athletes? These desserts like the spread to other countries and cultures, becoming some of the most popular desserts in the world. What are these desserts? Why were they served to Olympic athletes? And how did they become the desserts we are familiar with today? Well, I would love to claim that cheesecake has its origin in New York City as a New Yorker. The fact, however, is that it existed 4,000 years ago in ancient Greece. The first cheesecake may have been created on the Greek island of Samos because of the cheese molds that were excavated by physical anthropologists. Cheesecake was served to athletes during the first Olympic Games in 776 BC because it was considered to be a great source of energy. The cheesecake at the time was very different from the cheesecake we are familiar with today. It was likely savory, and ingredients were simple, just cheese, flour, and honey formed into a cake and bake, which is a far cry from the cheesecake we know today that use egg, sugar, and various cheese such as cream cheese, cottage cheese, ricotta, and Neuchâtel. Considering the original cheesecake was simple and rich in protein and carbs, it wouldn't surprise me that it was a great energy source for athletes in Asian Olympics. But how did this type of cheesecake become that cheesecake? Well, we have to bring up our old friends, the Romans. After the Romans conquered the Greeks, cheesecake fell into Roman hands. Being huge foodies themselves, they wouldn't miss the chance to savor it and improve upon it. The Romans called it planchanda or maybe plancenda, a term derived from the Greek meaning thin or layered flatbreads. Planchanda is the cheesecake 2.0 that was made with many layers of dough interspersed with a mixture of cheese and honey, and flavored with bay leaves. So you got a little bit of herbal and pungent flavor in this version. One fun fact about planchanda is that it's the predecessor of baklava. It was funny because I once heard that some bakery in the city served baklava cheesecake, and I was like, wow, people are getting really creative out there. Now that I've learned a bit about cheesecake, I realized that baklava cheesecake is indeed a thing with a good reason behind it. The Romans absolutely loved the cake not only by mentioning it several times in classical texts, but by making it more delicious. They crushed the cheese and add eggs to it, baked under the hot break and served warm, then called it liquid. The recipe was documented by Gatto the Elder, and it was credited as the oldest known Roman cheesecake recipe. Again, being huge foodies themselves, the Romans loved to carry their recipe and culinary tools with them while expanding their empire. As such, cheesecake arrived in Great Britain and Western Europe. By this time, recipes varied significantly across different regions. In 1545, an English cookbook included a cheesecake recipe describing it as a flour-based sweet food and clearly mentioned that sugar and butter were added. Now we have egg, butter, sugar, and one more step toward the cheesecake that we love today, and the ingredient that transformed the step to elite was cream cheese. With colonizers arriving in America, cheesecake reached its prime in the New World. No story of cheesecake is complete without mentioning the New York-style cheesecake, as a baked apple certainly loves and is proud of its own cheesecake. And what makes New York-style cheesecake special is the cream cheese. The invention of cream cheese was a beautiful accident. When William Lawrence, a young New Yorker, accidentally adds an excessive amount of cream, resulting in a richer, spreadable cheese. Then in 1929, a German immigrant, Arnold Rubin, was intrigued by a cheese pipe in the party and began experimenting, substituting cream cheese for curds and developing his own recipe for the perfect cheesecake. Since then, the wonderful New York-style cheesecake was born. It tastes denser, smoother, and creamier with various toppings. After the 1,000 years of journey across several nations and continents, the cheesecake became what we are familiar with today. What an epic journey! Another dessert that was given to Olympic athletes is loukoumades. It wasn't served as a meal for energy but as a reward. It is one of the oldest desserts in Greece and the first dessert to be mentioned in world literature. So even though these orange little balls might look like the go-to street treats in your country, they are actually 2,000 years old. Very old, actually. Loukoumades are deep-fried little donuts topped with honey and syrup, nuts, and cinnamon. These bite-sized treats are crispy outside but fluffy inside, warm and inviting. They were called honey tokens back then and were one of the first rewards for Olympic gold winners to celebrate their victory. They were also called courage soil, which translates to charisma in modern English, and found joy later. The most recent name, Lukmatis, was derived from the Arabic word lukma, meaning bites. So, to savor this ancient dessert, we visited Astoria in New York, aka Little Grace. They offer a variety of options from traditional to modern ones with Nutella and strawberry. I opted for the traditional version. I have to admit, it surprised me because I expected it to taste like a typical donut, but it wasn't sweet at all and had slightly sour inside. The honey, crusty walnuts, and cinnamon elevated the flavors, making it even better. Though I wouldn't recommend eating too much, especially for athletes. It was enjoyable for taste, but not quite an energy boost. Unlike the somewhat linear evolution of cheesecake, Lukmatis, on the other hand, evolved parallelly and have been popular for centuries in the Ottoman Empire. Therefore, you will find lokma in Turkey, lugamat in Iraq, vingois in Romania. They all share similar looks and somewhat similar names, but the syrup could vary depending on local ingredients and taste buds. Although these two desserts are connected to the Olympic Games in different ways, and they do look and taste very different, one thing they have in common though is the extensive use of honey. As the old Greek proverb says, all is well when honey is sweet. I guess the Asian Olympic athletes would definitely have felt fantastic enjoying these desserts before and after competing. If you want to hear more stories about food and cuisine, leave a comment below and let me know what you would like to see next. And if you love my videos, don't forget to check out my other videos and subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you more often and soon.